Look, I'm a big believer that people are more productive when they're in person, and really, man, the whole sort of work from home thing. It's like, I think it's. Look, there are some exceptions, but I kind of think that the whole notion of work from home is a bit like the fake Marie Antoinette quote, "Let them eat cake." Mm-hmm. It's like really, you're going to work from home and you're going to make everyone else who made your car come work in the factory. You're going to make the people who make your food that gets delivered that they can't work from home. The people that come fix your house, they can't work from home, but you can. Does that seem morally right? That's messed up.
You see it as a moral issue?
Yes.
I mean, I see it more as just
it's a productivity issue, but
yeah.
It's also a moral issue. People should get off the goddamn moral high horse with the work from home bullshit. Because they're asking everyone else to not work from home while they do.
And yet
it's wrong.
There's still pushback, by the way. It's still going on. This battle is still happening. I mean, leaders of organizations, and I speak to plenty of them, I want people back. I want people back. 3 days a week, they're still battling. It's not clear that it's ever going to change. People are not coming back 5 days a week.
Look, the laptop class is living in La La Land, okay? As I said, you can't, but look at the cars. Are people working from home here? Of course not. So the people were, building cars, servicing the cars, building houses, fixing houses, making the food, making all the things that people consume. It's messed up to assume that yes, they have to go to work, but you don't. How is that? It's not just a productivity thing. I think it's morally wrong.
Although productivity is definitely impacted too, and the ability of people to learn, I mean, on and on. Listen,
I mean, look, people will disagree with me about this, but it's like.
So if you want to work at Tesla, you want to work at SpaceX, you want to work at Twitter, you got to come into the office every day.
Yes, I mean, like I'm not saying. I'm saying, like, look, put 40 hours in, and frankly, it doesn't even need to be like, Monday through Friday. You could work Monday through Thursday, and I'm also not saying no one should take. I mean, I think people should take vacations. Like I work 7 days a week, but I'm not expecting others to do that.
How much sleep do you get, by the way?
About 6 hours.
You do 6 hours typically?
Yes.
No, that's not bad. I thought it would be less.
I've tried less, but my productivity, even though I'm awake more hours, I get less done.
Okay.
And the brain pain level is bad if I get less than 6 hours.
But you work 7 days a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually only, in terms of actually, you say like how many days in a year do I not put in some meaningful amount of work? It's probably about 2 or 3.
Right. 2 or 3 days.
A year.
Yeah, a year.
Yeah, we're building a full AI stack at Roblox. In Q1, we already shipped 2 big pieces of functionality. One is material generation. So for example, if you want a moldy brick wall, you can just say that and Roblox will generate it. We also, to help people learn to code and to help our creators, introduced automatic code generation that we're really impressed with. But long term, there's so much on our platform that is going to really let everyone be a creator. You're going to be able to create 3D worlds or your avatar purely with text prompts, for example. So really AI up and down our stack. And us being very, very careful as far as what type of bots an under 13 user would chat with. But at the same time, I'm really optimistic. I think we're going to have AI teachers, AI language instructors, AI chess coaches. And so I think our history of safety and civility will apply the same principles in an optimistic way.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we have Elon Musk and BlackRock says time to come to work. No more working from home. Now, we know the C word was nothing but a distraction in order to print all the money and then also start the foundation for the 4th Industrial Revolution. All this technology. Now that it's over, they want you back to work. Why do they want you back to work? because they need you fully distracted from the fourth industrial revolution. And then they're going to send you back home, but this time without a job. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Now, guys, we have Roblox. And guys, we know Roblox is to get Generation Z and the millennials inside the metaverse. And what does he say? AI will eventually teach your kids. That's right, guys. AI, robots, we already know this because if you look at any job, majority of the training is done by software. And that's the reason why Bill Gates has his hands in a lot of software from schools. In a couple years, guys, AI will definitely teach your kids. You may have one teacher looking over 1 to 500 kids. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. But guys, how do we even get to that? We gotta have distractions. They gotta bring in the main event in order to bring in all this technology. And we know we hear the drums are beating. We have the debt ceiling. Kevin McCarthy and Biden. And we know this is nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. We know eventually they're going to come up with a deal, but when they do, we know a lot of liquidity is going to start shrinking from this market. And who's going to take a hit? That's right, the small banks. And the small banks are going to hit what? Small businesses. And we know small businesses employ America. And we had the small banks that collapsed in front of Congress today. And you guys know I gave you the heads up in 2021 what was going to happen in 2022. Because why? Because the Fed told us, guys. And the same information I got, we know for a fact SVB received. Plus, they were working with the Fed. But guys, since we have the FDIC video, we know for a fact it was all planned. It was planned 10 years ago. Why? Because they have to destroy the banking system in order to bring in these digital assets. They have to go to a cashless society. These small banks don't survive in the new banking model. Remember, blockchain and tokenization is real-time settlement. You don't have to worry about any overdraft fees. You're talking about billions and billions of dollars that's going to leave the banking system. And that's the reason why we're witnessing a real-life game of Monopoly. Only the big banks are going to survive. And remember, the crypto teacher told you because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
I'm not going to sit and negotiate with you. We started last night already in the room. Look, we could be really sensible and responsible about this. How much is too much? You're sitting almost at a $32 trillion debt. Your debt is now larger than your economy. You're going to pay more in interest in the next 10 years than you paid in the last 80 years. We can no longer ignore this problem. Whatever agreement we come to is not going to solve this because we're not tackling the biggest items. But we have to put a trajectory that we're actually curving the spending level. And we've got to be ability to build things in America. So what I'm looking to, and where the Democrats say is draconian, we're talking about spending limits of what we spent 5 months ago. They think that's draconian. We're talking about work requirements that bring people out of poverty. And remember, this is only on able-bodied people at the certain age that have no dependents. Otherwise, what you're saying is you want to borrow more money from places like China to pay people not to work. I want to get people back into the workforce, help the supply chain, make us less dependent upon China, and let's curb this inflation by bringing back money that is simply wasted. We spent billions of dollars on COVID, money that hasn't even been spent, and they're arguing about bringing that back when it sat there for 2 years. That's the difficult part here. Even the most common sense things become so difficult for Democrats to make a decision on.
People are terrified now about the speed at which banking runs can happen. Imagine what will happen in a few years where everyone is using their ChatGPT money manager, which will be programmed to pull your money out the moment a banking run is detected in our system. And how much capital and liquidity do you have to hold against that sort of environment? So the environment is changing.
The Fed had made clear, this is December of 2021, Mr. Becker. And it says that a fresh set of economic projections released on Wednesday showed that Fed officials expect to raise interest rates, which are now set near zero, 3 times in the following year. So this is December. This is December of 2021. The Fed went ahead and raised rates 7 times in the following year, but said they were going to raise them 3 times. And you were still loaded up with long-term low-interest securities that were uninsured. So you failed to anticipate the impact that a rising rate environment would have on those deposits. No?
Congressman, as I mentioned in my written testimony, and I think this is very important, our balance sheet is constructed, our asset side, with securities and also loans.
I get that.
Those loans are variable rate, meaning as rates rise, we make more money. And so my view is you have to look at the entire balance.
You had 97% of your deposits were uninsured. 97%. Those are the first deposits to run. These are the Kenyans of bank deposits. They run the fastest and they run first. And you failed to appreciate what would happen when rates went up. But the Fed told you, the Fed made public their intent in December of 2021 that they were going to raise rates. So I realize you didn't have, is this a period where you didn't have a chief risk officer? Is this correct?
No, it is not.
It's not. So what did your risk officer advise you at that point?
Congressman, I don't recall specifically what the discussion was around that. I know that, again, my memory is that.
So look, it shouldn't take a risk officer to figure this out. I mean, look, so you had $91 billion of assets that were locked into long-term low-interest securities. $91 billion. And as rates went up in 2022, the value of those assets plummeted, went from $91 billion to $21 billion, and everybody headed for the door. How could you not anticipate that? How could you not understand the impact of a rising rate environment on your deposit base? I don't get this. And I find it hard to believe that no one at the bank anticipated this. What's your response?
Congressman, what is the specific question?
The question is, what was your alternative reality if you're not facing the facts, and if you're not acknowledging what's going on in front of you? What was the alternative scenario, the alternative reality that led you to keep these and these were many of this? So this $91 billion in assets were held to maturity. So that really frightened people when you had to start selling those at a considerable loss and actually realizing the losses of this strategy. And I'm just asking for an explanation of why you did what you did in the face of what was going on.
Congressman, it's a complicated answer in the sense of looking at the balance sheet. You have to understand the assets. And again, our loans were variable rate, so they benefited from higher rates. So that's part of the equation. The other part.
Here's what gets me. So earlier in your testimony, you're blaming the Fed for not telling you what to do, not raising the interest rate issue with you, when a high school student in economics or finance would be able to figure out the danger that you were in.
I want to take a moment, Mr. Chairman, to acknowledge the hardworking Americans who was harmed by this glaring mismanagement at your banks. Public pension funds nationwide lost millions of dollars that were invested in the Silicon Valley Bank and Signature. In my hometown, in my 3rd congressional district, the home of Ohio State Teachers Retirement System, took the biggest hit. Over $27 million invested in your bank. Meanwhile, with the reports that have come to light since the bank's collapse in March, we know that executives at your bank earned millions of dollars in bonuses, stock sales, increased executive compensation, while you ran the banks into the ground. And I don't need to go through it. We've heard it on both sides of the aisle, from failing to address supervisory recommendations, taking on significant interest rate and liquidity risk, and inadequately matching the bank. Meanwhile, teachers, like my sisters, firefighters, and other public servants lost millions that were invested through your public pension funds.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box, provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.